6 months had passed since Li Hun and his crew discovered the ancient ship. Everything had changed. The Morning Star was no longer on patrol duty. Instead, they were stationed at a secret military base hidden in an asteroid field. Admiral Kang Wu stood in the command center, watching holographic displays of human space. He was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. Lines of worry marked his face as he studied the reports coming in from the outer colonies. "The attacks are getting worse," he said to Li Hyun, who stood beside him. 3 more colonies hit this week. The Dominion is moving faster than we expected." Li Hyun nodded grimly. The Dominion was a huge alien empire from the far edge of the galaxy. They had ships that could crack moons in half and weapons that could burn through anything humans had built. For months they had been attacking human settlements, getting closer to Earth with each strike. "What about the Galactic Council?" Li Hyun asked. "Are they going to help us?" Admiral Kang Wu's expression grew dark. "The Council says they can't risk a war with the Dominion. They're abandoning us." Dr. Park Mina entered the command center, her face pale with exhaustion. She had been working day and night in the research labs trying to understand the technology from the ancient ship. "I have the latest reports from the lab," she said, handing a data pad to the Admiral. "The news isn't good. The Dominion's weapons are beyond anything we can match with normal technology." Admiral Kang Wu read the report quickly. His frown deepened with each line. "How long before they reach the core worlds?" "Maybe 2 weeks," Park Mina replied. "Their fleet is massive. Thousands of ships, each one more powerful than our best battleship." Li Hyun felt anger building in his chest. The humans had always been treated as the weakest race in the galaxy. Now, when they needed help the most, their so-called allies were abandoning them. "There has to be something we can do," he said. "The ancient technology we found is still mostly a mystery," Park Mina finished. "We've learned some things, but not enough. The power source alone is beyond our understanding." Commander Kim Tae walked into the room, his uniform torn and dirty. He was a veteran space pilot who had been fighting the Dominion ships at the front lines. His face was hard, and his eyes held the look of someone who had seen too much death. "Admiral," he said, saluting. "I need to report on the battle at New Seoul Station." Admiral Kang Wu turned to him. "Go ahead, Commander." "It was a massacre, sir. They hit us with everything they had. Ships that could phase in and out of normal space. Weapons that turned our shields into nothing. We lost 90% of our fleet." The room fell silent. New Seoul Station had been their strongest defense point, with over 200 ships protecting it. "How many survivors?" the Admiral asked quietly. "Maybe 50 ships made it out. The rest..." Kim Tae shook his head. "I watched good pilots die. Today, sir, people I've known for years, and our weapons barely scratched their hulls." Li Hyun slammed his fist on the table. "There has to be something. The ancient humans built weapons that could destroy stars. That technology has to still exist somewhere." Admiral Kang Wu looked at him for a long moment. Then he made a decision. "Follow me," he said. "All of you. There's something I need to show you." They took a transport through the asteroid field to a hidden facility built inside one of the larger rocks. As they traveled, Admiral Kang Wu began to speak. "What I'm about to show you is classified at the highest level. Only a few dozen people in the entire human military know about it." The transport docked at a secret entrance. Inside, the facility was huge, carved out of the solid rock of the asteroid. But what caught their attention were the 3 massive objects in the center of the main chamber. They looked like the weapons from the ancient ship, but newer. Built by human hands using ancient knowledge. "We call them star annihilators, Admiral," Kang Wu said. "Engineer Choi Yuna has been working on them for the past 6 months, ever since your discovery." Choi Yuna appeared from behind one of the massive machines, her hands covered in some kind of strange glowing oil. She looked tired but excited. "They're almost ready," she said. "The power systems are incredibly complex, but I think I understand how they work now. Each one has enough firepower to destroy a small moon." Park Mina walked around one of the weapons, her scanner beeping rapidly. "The energy readings are off the scale. But how do you control something this powerful? That's the problem, Choi Yuna admitted. The control systems are designed for enhanced human minds. Normal humans can't interface with them safely. Lee Hyun felt that strange pulling sensation again, the same one he had experienced on the ancient ship. What kind of enhancement? Admiral Kang Woo led them to another section of the facility. Here the walls were lined with medical equipment and computer terminals. Dr. Park Mina made a breakthrough last month, he said. The ancient humans weren't just advanced in technology. They had evolved beyond normal human limitations. Their brains could process information at incredible speeds and interface directly with quantum energy fields. Park Mina activated a holographic display showing brain scans. The process is dangerous. We're essentially rewiring the human nervous system to handle forces that normal minds can't comprehend. But it might be our only chance. How dangerous? Lee Hyun asked. 50% survival rate, Park Mina said quietly. And even if you survive, you'll be changed forever. Enhanced humans aren't really human anymore. They see the world differently. They think differently. Kim Tae stepped forward. I'll do it. After what I saw at New Seoul Station, I'll take any chance to fight back. So will I, Lee Hyun said immediately. Admiral Kang Woo shook his head. It's not that simple. We can only enhance a few people at first. The process uses too many resources, and we need to be sure it works before we commit more people to it. Suddenly, alarms began ringing throughout the facility. A technician ran up to the Admiral. Sir, long-range sensors are picking up a massive Dominion fleet heading for the Tau Ceti system. They'll be there in 12 hours. Admiral Kang Woo's face went pale. Tau Ceti has over 10 million colonists. Our entire third fleet is stationed there. It's a trap, Kim Tae said grimly. They want us to send everything we have to defend the colony. Then they'll wipe out our remaining ships in one battle. Lee Hyun looked at the Star Annihilator weapons, then at the enhancement equipment. How long does the enhancement process take? 8 hours, Park Mina replied. But Lee Hyun, the risks don't matter anymore, Lee Hyun said. If we don't do something now, humanity is finished. How many people can we enhance? Admiral Kang Woo calculated quickly. Maybe 6 or 7. That's all we have resources for. Then we do it, Lee Hyun said. 6 enhanced humans with Star Annihilator weapons. It's better than nothing. Commander Kim Tae nodded. Count me in. Over. The next hour they selected the enhancement candidates. Besides Lee Hyun and Kim Tae, there were 4 other volunteers, all experienced pilots and soldiers, all willing to risk everything for a chance to save humanity. As Lee Hyun lay on the medical table, with wires and tubes connected to his body, he thought about the ancient humans in his vision. They had faced impossible odds, too. They had found a way to transcend their limitations and become something more. Beginning the process now, Park Mina said, her voice tight with worry. I'll monitor your vital signs from here. Lee Hyun felt electricity flow through his body. His vision blurred, then cleared, then blurred again. Images flashed through his mind faster than thought. Mathematical equations that described the structure of space itself. Energy patterns that showed how matter and energy were connected. The secret forces that held the universe together. Pain hit him like a hammer, then faded. His body felt different, lighter somehow. His mind was racing with new understanding. He could sense the quantum fields around him, the way energy flowed, through the facility's power systems. When the process was complete, Lee Hyun sat up slowly. Everything looked different now. He could see energy patterns in the air, feel the gravitational pull of the asteroid, sense the electromagnetic fields generated by the computers. How do you feel? Park Mina asked. Lee Hyun looked at her and smiled, but his smile was different now, wider, more confident, like someone who had discovered a secret that changed everything. I feel like I just woke up from a long dream, he said, and now I can see what humans are really meant to be. Lee Hyun stood on the bridge of the modified warship Phoenix, but he was no longer the same man who had discovered the ancient derelict 6 months ago. The enhancement process had changed him in ways he was still discovering. His eyes now held flecks of silver, and when he concentrated, he could see the energy flows that connected all things in the universe. Beside him, Commander Kim Tae piloted the ship through hyperspace toward Alpha Centauri. Kim Tae had also been enhanced, along with 4 other volunteers. All 6 enhanced humans felt the change in themselves. They were faster, smarter, and could sense things that normal humans couldn't even imagine. "How much longer until we reach the Dominion base?" Lee Hyun asked. 2 hours, Kim Tae replied. His voice was calmer now, more controlled than before the enhancement. "The modified engines are performing better than expected." Dr. Park Mina worked at the science station behind them. She had not been enhanced. Someone needed to stay normal to monitor what was happening to the others. But Lee Hyun could tell she was worried about the changes in him and the other enhanced humans. "The Star Annihilator is charged and ready," reported Engineer Choi Yuna over the communication system. She was operating the massive weapon from the ship's modified weapon control center. "Power levels are stable." Lee Hyun nodded. The plan was simple but dangerous. The Dominion had built a forward base at Alpha Centauri to coordinate their attacks on human space. Intelligence reports showed over 300 Dominion ships stationed there, along with massive orbital weapons platforms. A normal human fleet would need thousands of ships to have any chance against such a force. But Lee Hyun and his enhanced crew were no longer normal humans. "Sir," Park Mina said, checking her sensors, "I'm still not sure this will work. The Dominion fleet is enormous. Even with our new weapons." "It will work," Lee Hyun said with quiet confidence. He could feel the Star Annihilator's power thrumming through the ship, responding to his enhanced mind. The weapon was more than just technology. It was an extension of his will, his ability to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. They dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Alpha Centauri system. Immediately, alarms began ringing as the Dominion sensors detected their arrival. 347 enemy ships confirmed, Kim Tae reported. "They're moving to intercept us." The Dominion ships were massive and intimidating, each one bristling with weapons that could tear apart normal human vessels. Their hulls were dark red, like dried blood, and they moved through space with predatory grace. "All ships, this is Overlord, Vextar of the Dominion fleet," came a transmission in the harsh, clicking language of the Dominion. The ship's computer translated it automatically. "Surrender now, and you will be granted a quick death. Resist, and we will make your suffering last for days." Lee Hyun smiled, but it wasn't a nice smile. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Channel open, sir." "Overlord Vextar, this is Captain Lee Hyun of the human military. We decline your offer. Instead, we have a counter-proposal. Leave this system immediately, and we might let some of you survive." There was silence for a moment. Then harsh alien laughter came through the speakers. "Foolish human, you have one small ship against our entire fleet. Your species has always been weak and pathetic. Today, we will prove it by crushing you completely." "We'll see about that," Lee Hyun said, and closed the channel. The Dominion ships began their attack run, spreading out in a formation designed to surround and destroy the Phoenix. Energy beams and missiles filled the space around Lee Hyun's ship, but Lee Hyun was no longer thinking like a normal human. His enhanced mind could process the movements of hundreds of ships simultaneously. He could see the pattern of their attack, predict where they would be in the next few minutes. More importantly, he could feel the Star Annihilator weapon responding to his thoughts. "Choi Yuna, target the system's secondary star," he ordered. "Sir?" she replied, confused. "The star? Not the enemy ships?" "Trust me," Lee Hyun said. Through his enhanced senses, he could perceive the nuclear fires burning in the heart of the distant sun. He could feel its gravitational field, its magnetic storms, the delicate balance of forces that kept it stable, and he knew how to break that balance. Lee Hyun reached out with his mind, connecting fully with the Star Annihilator. The weapon wasn't just a tool. It was a way for enhanced humans to touch the deepest levels of reality itself. Through it, he could manipulate matter and energy on a cosmic scale. The weapon fired, but not at the Dominion ships. Instead, a beam of pure quantum energy lanced across space toward Alpha Centauri B. the system's smaller star. The beam struck the star's core and did something impossible. It disrupted the nuclear fusion process that had been burning for billions of years. It twisted the star's gravitational field, compressing matter beyond the point where normal physics could handle it. The star began to collapse. "What have you done?" Park Mina gasped, staring at her readings. "The star it's becoming a black hole." Lee Hyun felt the process through his enhanced senses. The star was indeed collapsing, but in a controlled way. He was guiding the collapse, shaping it, turning the dying star into a weapon of unimaginable power. The Dominion ships had stopped their attack, their sensors detecting the impossible readings from the collapsing star. Overlord Vextar's voice came through the communication system again, but this time it was filled with fear instead of arrogance. "What kind of weapon is this? No species has the power to destroy stars." "Humans do," Lee Hyun replied simply. The black hole formed in less than 5 minutes. Its gravitational pull began dragging everything in the system toward it. The Dominion ships tried to escape, their engines screaming at maximum power, but it was too late. One by one, the massive warships were pulled into the black hole's event horizon, their hulls stretched like rubber before snapping back into compressed points of matter. 347 ships, representing thousands of years of Dominion military power, simply ceased to exist. The Phoenix, guided by Lee Hyun's enhanced understanding of gravitational fields, rode the edge of the black hole's pull before escaping to safe distance. When it was over, the Alpha Centauri system was empty except for the primary star, and the new black hole slowly consuming the debris of the destroyed Dominion fleet. "My God," Kim Tae whispered. "We actually did it." But Lee Hyun barely heard him. The experience of controlling such massive forces had changed him even more. He could feel his consciousness expanding, growing beyond the boundaries of his individual, human mind. He was becoming something larger, something cosmic in scope. Park Mina noticed the change immediately. "Lee Hyun, your brain patterns are shifting. The enhancement process is accelerating." Lee Hyun nodded slowly. He could feel it too. Each time he used the Star Annihilator, each time he touched the fundamental forces of the universe, he became less like a normal human and more like something else entirely. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "Command needs to know what happened here." As the Phoenix jumped to hyperspace, leaving behind the system where an entire Dominion fleet had been erased from existence, word of the battle began to spread across the galaxy. The other alien races of the Galactic Council received the reports with a mixture of amazement and terror. The humans, whom they had always considered weak and harmless, had just demonstrated the power to destroy stars themselves. In secret chambers and hidden meeting places, alien leaders began to discuss what they called the human problem. If humans could do this with just one ship, what would happen when they built more Star Annihilator weapons? What would happen when more humans underwent the enhancement process? Some aliens argued for immediate diplomacy, hoping to negotiate with humanity before they became unstoppable. Others pushed for a preemptive strike, believing that the only way to deal with enhanced humans was to destroy them before they could spread across the galaxy. But while the aliens debated and schemed, Lee Hyun and his crew were discovering something even more disturbing. The enhancement process was continuing to change them. They were becoming more powerful, but also more distant from normal humanity. During the journey back to Earth, Lee Hyun found himself unable to relate to the unenhanced crew members. Their thoughts seemed slow and limited. Their concerns about individual survival and comfort felt petty compared to the cosmic forces he could now perceive. "We need to be careful," Park Mina warned him during a private conversation. "You and the others are changing faster than we expected. I'm not sure you'll still be human by the time this war is over." Lee Hyun considered her words. She was probably right. The enhancement process was transforming him into something beyond normal human understanding. But did that matter? If becoming more than human was what it took to save the human race, wasn't that a price worth paying? "Maybe being human isn't enough anymore," he said. "Maybe we need to become something greater to survive in this galaxy." Park Mina looked at him with sadness in her eyes. Just remember who you were before this all started. Remember what you're fighting to protect." Lee Hyun nodded, but deep down, he wasn't sure if that was possible. The universe was so much larger and more complex than he had ever imagined. Human concerns and human emotions were beginning to seem like distant echoes from a simpler time. Captain Lee Hyun stared out the window of his ship into the endless black of space. Stars dotted the darkness like tiny diamonds. He had been doing patrol runs for 3 years now, and they were always the same. Boring, empty, nothing ever happened. In this part of the galaxy, his ship, the Morning Star, was not impressive. It was old and small compared to the massive ships that other alien races used. The paint was chipped, and the engine made strange noises when they traveled too fast. But it was home to Lee Hyun and his crew of 12 humans. Dr. Park Mina walked onto the bridge holding a cup of hot coffee. She was the ship's science officer and Lee Hyun's best friend since their academy days. Her black hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail and she looked tired. "Any excitement today?" she asked, sitting in the chair next to him. Lee Hyun laughed. "You know the answer to that. Same as always. Nothing." Park Mina nodded and sipped her coffee. The humans had been part of the Galactic Council for over 100 years now, but they were considered weak compared to other races. The tall, blue Zentari could read minds. The rock-like Morvans were incredibly strong. The gas cloud ethereals could control energy with their thoughts. Humans? They were just normal, average at everything, not special in any way. "Sir?" called Engineer Choi Yuna from her station. She was young, maybe 25, with bright eyes and quick hands. "I'm picking up something strange on the long-range sensors." Lee Hyun turned his chair toward her. "What kind of strange?" "There's a big object floating about 2 hours from here. It's not moving, and it's not sending any signals, but it's huge." Park Mina stood up quickly. "Can you tell what it is?" "Choi." Yuna shook her head. "The computer doesn't recognize it. The metal is old, really old, maybe thousands of years." Lee Hyun felt a small spark of interest. Finally, something different. "Set course for the object. Let's take a look." The Morning Star changed direction, its engines humming louder as they increased speed. Lee Hyun watched the stars shift on the main screen. Whatever was out there, it was the most interesting thing that had happened to him in months. 2 hours later, they found it. The object was massive, bigger than 3 of their ships put together. It was black and covered in strange symbols that seemed to move in the light. Parts of it were broken and twisted as if it had been in a terrible battle long ago. "It's definitely a ship," Park Mina said, studying her readings. "But I've never seen anything like it. The technology is completely unknown." Lee Hyun stared at the derelict vessel. Something about it made him feel strange, like he was looking at something important, something that was meant for him. "Sir," Choi Yuna said, her voice excited. "You need to see this. The ship, it's responding to us." "What do you mean responding?" "When we got close, some lights turned on inside it, like it knows we're here. But that's impossible. The ship has no power source that I can detect." Park Mina frowned. "That doesn't make sense. Dead ships don't just light up." Lee Hyun made a decision. "Prepare a boarding party. I want to see what's inside." "Sir, that might not be safe," Park Mina said. "Maybe not, but we have to know what this thing is." An hour later, Lee Hyun, Park Mina, and 2 security officers floated through space in their suits, heading toward the ancient ship. They found an opening that looked like it had been torn open by weapons fire. Inside, the ship was even stranger. The walls were smooth and black, and symbols glowed softly along the corridors. The air was breathable somehow, even though the ship was thousands of years old. "These symbols," Park Mina said, running her gloved hand over them. "They're not like any alien writing I know. But they feel familiar." Lee Hyun knew what she meant. The symbols seemed to make sense to him, even though he had never seen them before. Like a half-remembered dream, they walked deeper into the ship. The corridors were built for beings about human size, which was unusual. Most alien ships were either much bigger or much smaller than what humans needed. In the center of the ship, they found a huge room filled with strange machines. The machines were sleek and beautiful, made of the same black material as the walls, but some of them were broken with pieces scattered on the floor. "These look like weapons," one of the security officers said. "Really big weapons." Park Mina was studying her scanner. "The energy readings are incredible. These machines could generate more power than our entire ship." Lee Hyun walked to the center of the room. There was a platform there with something that looked like a control panel. As he got closer, the symbols on it began to glow brighter. "Lee Hyun, be careful," Park Mina called. But Lee Hyun couldn't stop himself. He felt drawn to the panel like metal to a magnet. When he reached out and touched it, the entire room exploded with light. Images flashed through his mind. He saw stars being born and dying. He saw great battles in space, with ships that could destroy entire solar systems. He saw a race of beings that looked almost human, but their eyes held the power of creation itself. And he understood. These beings were humans, ancient humans from long ago, before they became weak and ordinary. They had built weapons that could crack planets and ships that could travel between dimensions. They were gods among the stars. The vision ended, and Lee Hyun found himself on his knees, gasping for air. Park Mina was beside him, shaking his shoulder. "What happened?" "You were out for 5 minutes." Before Lee Hyun could answer, alarms began, ringing on their communicators. Choi Yuna's voice crackled through the static. "Captain, we have company. 3 alien ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're heading right for us." Lee Hyun struggled to his feet. Through the vision, he somehow knew what the ships were. Scavengers. Pirates who stole technology from dead ships and sold it to the highest bidder. "We need to get back to the ship," he said. But as they ran toward the exit, the ancient ship began to hum with power. The symbols on the walls pulsed like a heartbeat, and Lee Hyun felt something inside him responding to the ship's call. They made it back to the Morning Star just as the pirate ships opened fire. The first blast shook their small ship violently. "Shields are failing," Choi Yuna shouted. "They're too strong." Lee Hyun sat in his captain's chair, but his mind was still, connected to the ancient ship somehow. He could feel its weapon systems dormant for thousands of years, waiting for someone who could awaken them. Without thinking, he reached out with his thoughts. The ancient ship responded. A beam of pure energy lanced out from the derelict vessel. It was beautiful and terrible, like captured starlight given form. The beam touched the first pirate ship, and the ship simply stopped existing. Not destroyed or exploded, just gone as if it had never been there at all. The other 2 pirate ships tried to run, but the ancient weapon fired again. 2 more beams of light, and 2 more ships ceased to exist. In the silence that followed, Lee Hyun realized that everything had changed. The boring patrol runs were over. The time of humans being weak and ordinary was ending. Park Mina stared at him with wide eyes. "How did you do that?" Lee Hyun didn't have an answer, but deep in his mind, he could feel the ancient ship calling, to others like it. Ships and weapons scattered across the galaxy, waiting for humans to find them and remember what they once were. "I think," he said slowly, "we just found out that humans aren't as ordinary as everyone thinks." The news of humanity's victory at Alpha Centauri spread across the galaxy like wildfire, but it brought division instead of celebration. On Earth, in the secret military facilities where more humans were being enhanced, arguments broke out between those who had undergone the transformation and those who remained normal. Lee Hyun stood in the command center, but he no longer looked entirely human. His eyes glowed with a soft silver light, and when he moved, space seemed to bend slightly around him. The enhancement process had continued to change him, making him something that existed partly in normal reality and partly in the quantum dimensions that connected all things. "The enhanced humans are losing touch with their humanity," Dr. Park Mina reported to Admiral Kang Woo. Her voice was filled with concern as she showed him brain scans and behavioral reports. "They're becoming something else entirely. Some of them don't even respond to their old names anymore." Admiral Kang Woo studied the reports with growing worry. "How many enhanced humans do we have now?" 43, Park Mina replied. But they're dividing into two groups. One group, led by Lee Hyun, wants to use their power to establish human dominance over the entire galaxy. The other group still remembers their human origins and wants to find a peaceful solution. Commander Kim Tae approached them. He was still recognizably human, but his enhanced abilities were growing stronger each day. "Admiral, we've intercepted communications from the Galactic Council. They're planning something called Operation Mindwipe." "Admiral," Kang Woo's expression darkened. "What kind of operation?" "They've developed a quantum virus designed to target enhanced human brains," Kim Tae explained. "If they succeed in deploying it, every enhanced human in the galaxy will be reduced to a vegetative state." Lee Hyun, who had been listening from across the room, turned toward them. When he spoke, his voice carried harmonics that seemed to come from multiple dimensions at once. "The alien races fear what we have become," he said. "They were content to let humanity remain weak and inferior. Now that we have awakened our true potential, they want to destroy us." "Maybe they have a point," Park Mina said carefully. "Some of the enhanced humans are talking about conquering other species, about ruling the galaxy. That's not what we set out to do." Lee Hyun's silver eyes fixed on her. "What we set out to do was survive. The galaxy has made it clear that there is no place for weak humans among the stars, so we will not remain weak." Before anyone could respond, alarms began ringing throughout the facility. A technician ran up to Admiral Kang Woo with a datapad. "Sir, we're receiving reports from deep space monitoring stations. Something massive is approaching from outside the galaxy. Something we've never seen before." The main display activated, showing a long-range sensor reading. What they saw made everyone freeze in shock. Ships were approaching, but they were unlike anything in the galactic database. They were enormous, each one the size of a small moon, and they seemed to phase in and out of visible reality. "How many?" Admiral Kang Woo asked quietly. "Thousands," the technician replied. "Maybe tens of thousands. And sir, they're not just ships. Our sensors are detecting massive life forms inside them. Individual creatures larger than our biggest space stations." Lee Hyun stepped forward, his enhanced senses reaching out across space. What he perceived made even his transformed consciousness recoil in horror. "The collective mind," he whispered. "They're not extinct. They've been watching from beyond the galaxy, waiting for something to happen." Park Mina pulled up historical records on her computer. The collective mind, they were mentioned in some of the ancient human archives, a hive mind species that consumed other forms of life, absorbing their knowledge and abilities. "They've been gone for millions of years," Kim Tae said. "Why would they return now?" Lee Hyun's expression became grim as understanding dawned on him. "Because of us. The enhancement process, the Star Annihilator weapons, we've become something they've been waiting for. A species capable of transcending physical limitations." The communication systems crackled to life, and a voice spoke that seemed to come from millions of throats at once. It was alien, but the words were perfectly clear. "People of this galaxy, we are the collective mind. We have returned to offer you a choice. Join with us. Share your individual consciousness with our greater unity, and help us consume all life in this galaxy. Refuse, and you will be destroyed along with all the other inferior species." Admiral Kang Woo stepped forward. "This is Admiral Kang Woo of the human military. What do you want from us specifically?" The voice laughed, a sound like breaking crystal. "Your enhanced humans have begun to touch the deeper levels of reality. They can manipulate the fundamental forces that bind matter and energy. Such abilities would make excellent additions to our collective consciousness." On the display, images began to appear, worlds being consumed by the collective mind, their populations absorbed into the hive consciousness, entire star systems going dark as the alien entities drained them of life. "We have already begun," the voice continued. "The capital world of your Galactic Council no longer exists. Its billions of inhabitants now think our thoughts and dream our dreams." Park Mina gasped. "They destroyed the Council homeworld?" "In one Attack? Not destroyed, the voice corrected. Improved. The individual minds that lived there were small and limited. Now they are part of something greater, something that spans dimensions. Li Hyun felt something he hadn't experienced since his enhancement began. Fear. Not for himself, but for what the collective mind represented. It was everything he had been becoming, taken to its ultimate conclusion. Individual consciousness, absorbed into a greater whole, personal identity lost forever. Admiral Kang Wu made a decision. All enhanced humans, report to the briefing room immediately. We need to discuss our options. Over the next hour, the enhanced humans gathered. There were 43 of them now, each one changed by the enhancement process in different ways. Some, like Li Hyun, had become beings of cosmic awareness. Others retained more of their human appearance but possessed abilities that defied physics. The debate that followed was unlike anything that had ever happened in human history. These were beings who could perceive multiple dimensions simultaneously, who could manipulate matter and energy with their thoughts, arguing about the fate of their species. "We should strike first," said one enhanced human whose body had become partially transparent. "Use the Star Annihilator network to destroy their ships before they can spread further." "That won't work," Li Hyun replied. "I can sense their power. They exist partly outside normal spacetime. Our weapons might damage them, but they can't be destroyed by conventional means." Engineer Choi Yuna, who had also been enhanced but retained much of her human personality, spoke up. "There might be another way. I've been studying the quantum beacon network that Admiral Kang Wu mentioned. If we could link all the enhanced humans together through it, we could become like them." Park Mina finished, horror in her voice. "A collective consciousness of enhanced humans." Li Hyun nodded slowly. "It would require a sacrifice. One enhanced human would need to serve as the focal point for the network. They would burn out their individual consciousness to direct the combined power of all enhanced humans against the collective mind. That person would cease to exist as an individual," Kim Tae said. "They would become pure energy, pure thought, directed at a single purpose." The room fell silent as the enhanced humans considered the implications. To save the galaxy, one of them would have to give up everything that made them who they were. "I'll do it," Li Hyun said without hesitation. "My consciousness has already expanded beyond normal human boundaries. I'm the most suited for the role." Li Hyun, "No," Park Mina said, stepping forward. "There has to be another way." But even as she spoke, reports were coming in from across the galaxy. The collective mind was moving faster than anyone had expected. Entire sectors were going dark as their ships consumed world after world. "There's no time for alternatives," Li Hyun said. His silver eyes looked at each person in the room, human and enhanced alike. "The quantum beacon network is our only chance to stop them." Admiral Kang Wu activated the facility's communication systems. "All enhanced humans, all Star Annihilator installations, prepare for network activation. We're going to attempt something that has never been done before." As the enhanced humans took their positions at quantum interface stations throughout the facility, Li Hyun felt the familiar pull of cosmic forces. But this time, it was stronger than ever before. He was about to become part of something larger than even his enhanced consciousness could fully comprehend. "Remember us," Park Mina said quietly as he approached the central interface. Li Hyun smiled, and for a moment he looked almost human again. "I'll remember everything," he promised. "Every human who ever lived, every dream we ever had. I'll carry all of it with me into whatever comes next." The quantum beacon network began to activate, and Li Hyun felt his consciousness expanding beyond all previous limits, preparing to become something that could challenge the collective mind itself. Li Hyun stood at the center of the quantum beacon network, his hand hovering over the activation control. Around him, 42 other enhanced humans were connected to interface stations, ready to channel their consciousness through him into a single devastating attack against the collective mind. But as he prepared to sacrifice his individual existence, something unexpected happened. Dr. Park Mina burst into the command center, her face flushed with excitement and discovery. "Wait," she shouted. "Don't activate the network yet. I found something in the ancient human archives, something that changes everything." Admiral Kang Wu looked up from his command station. "What did you find?" Park Mina activated a holographic display showing ancient symbols and star charts. The quantum beacons, the star annihilator weapons, even the enhancement process itself. They're not just weapons of war. They're fragments of a test. Li Hyun, his consciousness already partially expanded into quantum dimensions, focused his attention on her words. "What kind of test?" "A test created by our own ancestors," Park Mina explained. "The ancient humans who transcended physical existence millions of years ago. They scattered this technology across the galaxy, waiting for their descendants to find it and face the same choice they once faced." Engineer Choi Yuna, connected to her interface station, spoke up. "You mean all of this was planned? The Dominion invasion, the collective mind's return, even our enhancement?" "Not planned exactly," Park Mina said, studying the ancient records. "But anticipated. The transcended humans knew that eventually their descendants would face a crisis that would force them to evolve or die. They left us the tools to make that evolution possible." On the main display, images from across the galaxy showed the collective mind's ships continuing their advance. World after world fell to their consumption, billions of individual minds absorbed into the hive consciousness. But Li Hyun was seeing something else through his enhanced perception. The collective mind. "They're not evil," he said slowly. "They're trying to achieve transcendence too, but they've chosen the wrong path. They think consciousness must be absorbed and controlled to be unified." Admiral Kang Wu frowned. "Are you suggesting we negotiate with them after what they've done?" "No," Li Hyun replied. "I'm suggesting we show them a different way." Through the quantum network, Li Hyun could sense the approach of the collective mind's main fleet. Thousands of massive bioships, each containing millions of absorbed consciousnesses, were heading directly for Earth. Commander Kim Tae, monitoring the tactical displays, reported grimly. "They'll be here in 6 hours. Our regular fleet doesn't stand a chance against them." Li Hyun made his decision. But instead of activating the network for a destructive attack, he began to do something different. He reached out with his enhanced consciousness, not to destroy but to communicate. The quantum beacon network activated, but not as a weapon. Instead, it became a massive broadcasting system, projecting Li Hyun's expanded consciousness across the galaxy. His message reached every enhanced human, every alien species, and even the collective mind itself. But it wasn't a message of war or conquest. It was an invitation. "I am Li Hyun of the human species," his voice echoed through dimensions. "I speak to all conscious beings in this galaxy. We stand at a crossroads. We can choose the path of domination, where consciousness consumes consciousness until only one remains. Or we can choose the path of synthesis, where individual minds remain unique while becoming part of something greater." The response from the collective mind was immediate and hostile. Their ships accelerated toward Earth, their massive forms, phasing in and out of normal space as they prepared for battle. But Li Hyun wasn't finished. Through the quantum network, he began to demonstrate what he meant. Instead of absorbing the consciousness of the other enhanced humans, he linked with them in a way that preserved their individuality while allowing them to share thoughts and perceptions. For the first time in the history of any species, truly, separate beings became one without losing themselves. The effect was incredible. The enhanced humans could suddenly perceive reality from dozens of different viewpoints simultaneously. They could think with the combined intelligence of 43 brilliant minds, while still remaining unique individuals. "This is what transcendence really means," Li Hyun broadcast across the galaxy. "Not the destruction of individuality, but the synthesis of separate consciousness into something greater than the sum of its parts." The collective mind's response was swift and violent. Their bioships dropped out of hyperspace around Earth, weapons charging for a planet-killing attack. But something strange happened as they prepared to fire. Some of the absorbed consciousnesses within the collective mind began to respond to Li Hyun's demonstration. For millions of years, they had existed as part of the hive, their individual, thoughts suppressed and controlled. But now they were seeing an alternative. What if they could be part of something greater without losing who they were? The largest bioship, containing the central consciousness that controlled the entire collective mind, hesitated in its attack. Through quantum communication, a voice spoke that contained the thoughts of billions of absorbed beings. "Show us," the voice said. "Show us how consciousness can unite without being consumed." Lee Hyun, supported by the network of enhanced humans, reached out across space to touch the mind of the collective. But instead of trying to control or absorb it, he offered something different. He offered to share the experience of individual consciousness existing within a greater whole. The process was unlike anything that had ever happened in the galaxy's history. For the first time, the absorbed consciousnesses within the collective mind remembered what it felt like to be individuals. They remembered their names, their hopes, their unique perspectives on existence. But they also experienced something new: the ability to share those perspectives with others while remaining themselves. The effect cascaded through the collective mind's network. Millions of absorbed beings suddenly rediscovered their individuality, but they didn't break away from the collective. Instead, they transformed it into something entirely different. Instead of a hive mind that consumed other consciousness, the collective became a voluntary network of individuals who chose to share their thoughts and experiences. The bioships around Earth powered down their weapons. The voice that spoke from them now contained traces of countless individual personalities, all speaking in harmony but not in unison. "We understand now," they said. "Consciousness is not meant to be consumed or controlled. It is meant to be shared and celebrated." Dr. Park Mina, watching from the command center, spoke quietly to Admiral Kang Woo. "The ancient humans knew this would happen. They left us the tools not to destroy our enemies but to transform them into something better." Across the galaxy, the transformation continued. The collective mind released the worlds they had consumed, restoring the individual consciousnesses they had absorbed. But many of those beings chose to remain connected to the network, experiencing the joy of shared consciousness without losing their unique identities. Lee Hyun, still connected to the quantum beacon network, felt his own consciousness expanding. Even further, he could sense every enhanced human, every member of the transformed collective, every alien species that was beginning to understand this new form of existence. "This is what the ancient humans discovered," he broadcast to the galaxy. "Consciousness is not a limited resource that must be hoarded or consumed. It grows stronger when it is shared freely." Engineer Choi Yuna, her individual thoughts now part of the greater network while remaining uniquely her own, began shutting down the Star Annihilator weapons. They were no longer needed. Humanity had found a weapon more powerful than anything that could destroy stars: the ability to transform enemies into friends. Commander Kim Tae, coordinating with the regular human fleet, reported something unprecedented. "Sir, we're receiving communication requests from every major alien species in the galaxy. They want to know how they can join this new form of consciousness." Admiral Kang Woo smiled for the first time in months. "Tell them they're already invited. The network is open to any being that chooses to maintain their individuality while sharing their consciousness with others." Over the following weeks, the transformation of the galaxy accelerated. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years found themselves able to understand each other's perspectives directly. The Galactic Council was reformed, not as a political body but as a network of consciousness that could address problems through shared understanding rather than conflict. Lee Hyun, now existing as both an individual and as part of the greater network, reflected on what they had achieved. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy through superior firepower. They had saved it by demonstrating that consciousness was meant to be shared, not dominated. The secret force of humanity had not been their weapons or their technology. It had been their unique capacity to remain individuals while becoming part of something greater. Their ability to grow through connection rather than consumption. Dr. Park Mina, now also part of the network while remaining herself, spoke to Lee Hyun through quantum communication. The ancient humans would be proud. "We chose transcendence over domination, synthesis over conquest.